Hello everybody. So in today's video, I decided that I would show you some of the anti-inflammatory meals that I've been eating. I've been filming some of my meals for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So the following are some of my meals that I've eaten. Okay, so to start with, this is one of the ones I make a lot. So I'm going to use 100% whole grain, whole wheat tortillas. I have worked up to working in whole grains into my diet. If you're just starting out an anti-inflammatory diet, I would just leave them out until you can see what your body is used to and what it isn't, what causes inflammation and what doesn't. For me, it's white flour, rice. Rice doesn't affect me too bad. It's mostly white gluten flour. So I'm going to use those. Same with sour cream. Sour cream and dairy in moderation doesn't affect me. But if you have an intolerance to dairy, you might want to leave it out because it might cause some inflammation. But for my anti-inflammatory diet, a little bit of dairy is okay. So if you don't want to use sour cream, you could use yogurt, Greek yogurt. I prefer it with sour cream though. Okay, and then I have some spinach here. I put spinach in a lot of things. Okay. Now I have some just plain chicken breast here, sauteed with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and some garlic powder. Okay, now I'm going to take some avocado. This is one of my favorite ways to eat avocado too. I've been learning to love it. I've actually found quite a few ways now that I don't mind it. I'm going to put about half an avocado on each one. I try to eat about a whole avocado per day. Same with kiwis. Kiwis have anti-inflammatory properties as well. So do avocados. So they're really good for you and for the inflammation. Okay, and then I'm going to use some cherry tomatoes. Might not use all of what I have here, we'll see. So this is my barbecue chicken wrap. I am going to use homemade barbecue sauce. If you were going to use this for anti-inflammatory, I would say either leave the barbecue sauce off or find one that's really low in sugar. You don't want one that's high in sugar. So this is my homemade peach barbecue. So I'm just going to put a strip on, probably about a couple tablespoons worth. Like I said, if you want it to be a lot more anti-inflammatory, leave it out or find one that's less sugar. My homemade one doesn't have a ton of sugar in it. And there it is. I have learned to love these wraps, the whole grain ones. So that was my barbecue chicken wrap recipe. So this breakfast I eat almost every day. So it's scrambled eggs with onion, peppers, spinach, 4 eggs, and a whole avocado and some grape tomatoes diced on top. And then I'll either have a banana or a couple kiwis. And that is my turmeric ginger shot. This breakfast I eat probably 5 days a week. It's one of my favorites. This meal was chicken fajitas on whole grain wraps, and it's just chicken, some peppers, and some onion with some seasonings, homemade seasonings, and with some tomatoes, avocado, and some lettuce. Some mornings I like to have a smoothie for breakfast, sometimes as a snack as well. So I usually try to stick a whole banana in. I like to use a mixture of fresh fruit and frozen fruit. But I also like to use this. This is tart cherry juice. It is highly anti-inflammatory, and I like to add it to my smoothies. I also try to use almond milk in my smoothies rather than regular milk. For the yogurt, I like to use Activia probiotic yogurt. Good for my gut, and my body reacts well to this yogurt. So that's why I like to use this one. I just use whatever flavor I have at the time. I'll usually use whatever fresh fruit I have, and sometimes whatever frozen fruit. I try to make sure that I always put blueberries in it, just for their anti-inflammatory properties. When I have fresh fruit, if it's going to go bad, I tend to put it in a Ziploc, and I freeze it and use it in my smoothies, just so nothing goes to waste. Some days I like to put a little bit of pineapple or mango in it as well, but I don't use pineapple very often just because of the sugar content in it. I usually try to stick to the berries. They're the most anti-inflammatory, so like raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and blueberries. I actually burnt out the last smoothie maker I had. You guys might have seen that single serve one in some of my videos. I burnt that out. So my fiance actually bought me this new one for Mother's Day. So I was quite happy I could keep making smoothies. And there's my berry banana smoothie. I do eat this quite often. Usually if I'm hungry in the afternoon and I skipped lunch, I'll have a smoothie, or sometimes I'll eat it as breakfast. So this is a egg sandwich with whole grain bread, avocado, a little bit of mayo, and 2 kiwis and my ginger turmeric drink. This meal was half a sandwich with whole grain bread and chicken salad with spinach, and the soup was a turmeric chicken noodle soup with whole grain noodles. So for this next meal, I wanted to try the viral sweet potato ground beef bowl. I will say I did it a little bit different. Instead of using hot honey, I use bitmap sauce. I'll show you here in a second. This has easily become one of my favorite meals. I've made this so many times since then. So you just use roasted sweet potato, and then you take some ground beef with a little bit of taco seasoning in it, and then you slice up an avocado, and you probably scoop out about a cup or so of cottage cheese, and then you squirt hot honey over the entire mixture and eat it. It's actually delicious. I was surprised how much I actually liked it. But instead of hot honey, like I was saying, I use bitmap sauce, which is like a Korean sauce, hot sauce, and mix it with honey, and I think it tastes far better than the hot honey that people are using in the viral videos. If you notice the French fries on the pan, that was from my family. They were having taco fries for dinner, and so I decided to just roast up some sweet potato alongside their fries and make the viral video for my own meal, and it turned out great. For the sweet potato, I just put a little bit of olive oil and some salt and pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and some paprika. And I mixed the sweet potato in it, and it gives it a really nice flavor. So now I'm just going to take the Korean bitmap sauce here, and I'm going to put some into my little container, and I'm just going to mix it with a little bit of honey. You would do this part to taste, I would say, how much honey you would prefer, but I highly recommend trying this instead of hot honey. It tastes far superior to hot honey. Way more flavor. Now I'm just going to take the sauce once I'm done mixing it here and just drizzle it over top. I drizzled a little bit at first, and then as I was eating, I drizzled a little bit more as I was getting to the center of the food, and it's delicious. And it looks pretty too. Looks very appetizing. And here's a look at what the final product looked like. Looks so good. I've eaten this probably at least 10 or 15 times since I made this. So this was one of my snack bowls. I think there was about 2 kiwis cut up in here, and about half a cup of raspberries. So if any of you are looking to start an anti-inflammatory diet or incorporate some of anti-inflammatory recipes into your diet, I hope some of these recipes were helpful, or some of these meals were helpful, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.